So we're checking out another 2.5-inch Cinewhoop here from iFlight RC. This is the ProTek R25. So previously, if you looked at the ProTek series, we had this one that I reviewed last. Inverted motors and props compared to this one. This is a more traditional setup here with the motor underneath the prop. And we have the same motor, the 1404 4600 kV motor on both of these. This one here is an analog version, and this one here is DJI. It's got the Cadix Polar Nano camera. I believe they have the same flight control, the F4 all-in-one, which has the vertical USB port. So obviously with this being inverted, the USB port's going to stick up. It's actually underneath the battery strap over here. But on the normal or regular setup here, the USB port is sticking out of the bottom like this, which I'm not a big fan of. Now you do have landing feed here, but I would have liked to have seen some sort of a rubber cover for this like they do on some of the other models. I'm not sure if that was an oversight on their part. They usually do stuff like that, especially this being on the bottom. You don't want any grass or dirt getting into that, or water, so a little rubber cover would be recommended if they would add that. Yeah, they gave me the Express LRS receiver in this one here. You got a tiny antenna here in the back for the Vista. The Vista is a little bit tricky to get to. It's right there. There's a little hole right there for the activation of the Vista unit, and you got to either take the motor off. So you either take the motor and prop off, but then you have this little cover here that's holding the motor bars. So you gotta get that out of the way so you can get a cable in there to, or a USB-C cable to activate the Vista. Or you need one of those USB-C right angle adapters, which is what I used. So there's different ways you can get in there, but yeah, it's a little tricky, and they don't include those adapters in the packaging. And then the bind button is right next to the USB-C port there. Yeah, you can see the Vista right there underneath this top plate, and then the flight controllers on the bottom. 1404 4600 kV motors, as I mentioned before. So I think, they came up with this design because I guess people wanted a more traditional upright setup here. I personally prefer the pusher setup because you have less air turbulence coming from when the prop is blowing the air through here. Then basically you get a little bit of disturbance here from the arm, and then from these little spokes here on the prop guard. Now they did a really good job on tuning this, so I actually thought it flew really well, which you can do on a good tune. So, really no complaints here for me on the PID tune. I thought it flew great. This is designed, obviously, or intended for something like a naked GoPro. In this case, I'm using the Hawkeye naked cam. It weighs about 27 grams, and like a Naked Hero 6 or a Naked Hero 8 will probably weigh about something around there, around 27-30 grams. And they're using that standard 3mm screw mount here, and that screw is included along with a nut. So this will fit this camera. If you want to see a review of this camera, this is gyroflow compatible for 2.5K video or 1440p video. I'll link that review down in the video description. I'm obviously not going to talk about this one. In this video, it's about the ProTek R25. So yeah, basically I think they made this option available for those of you guys that wanted a 2.5-inch Cinewhoop but weren't interested in the pusher setup, wanted a more traditional setup here, and this is sort of, what the ultimate design came out to be. So one of their goals is try and get this under 250 grams all up weight. So it's 179 on my scale, subtract 27 grams for the camera. And yeah, here's the math here. That's how much it weighs. I think on the product page it's like 148 grams is what is specified. I flew it with this 4S650 battery, and it's going to put it over 250. And then I had this little power cable here to power the camera. Of course, you can solder on something directly to the battery lead and power on this camera. It really depends on what camera you're using, so your power solution might be different from mine. But my all-up weight flying this, as you saw in the flight demo, is going to be 258 grams. The analog version is going to weigh like 15 grams less, so with this setup here in this battery, you'll definitely be under 250 grams. But if you have a different power setup here, Maybe you could shave a little bit of weight off here, and then maybe use like a 600 instead of a 650. So I'm a little like 5 grams over the 250 gram limit. But yeah, overall it's totally different from the pusher setup here. You can see here, even when I invert the frame is completely different. So it really is a totally different design, but it's got the same power setup, same motors, same flight controller, just a different frame. Yeah, I can already see somewhere where we could save a lot of weight is on these little covers here. If you wanted to get rid of these, this looks like just PLA plastic. Obviously, dirt could get in here, but if you want to save a little bit of weight, you can probably take the bottom plate off. Looks like it's just these screws here. I think the flight controller is going to be screwed onto the bottom plate, but then probably remove these side plates and save a bunch of weight there if you want to get under 250 grams. But yeah, it's a solid frame. I think it's going to handle a lot of abuse. Should be no problem. The prop guards, hard to say how much crashing it's gonna take. Obviously you can replace these pretty easily, so I'm sure they'll sell replacements for a few dollars. They're not that expensive. But yeah, obviously I think this is really meant for cinewhooping, not really for racing. But I suppose you could race it if you want. It's got a pretty good platoon, but honestly it's really meant for smooth cinematic flying, and I thought for that case it worked out pretty well. Anyway, here's the flight footage. Again, I ran it through Gyroflow. Check out that review if you want to see the review of this camera. But it'll obviously work with other naked GoPros and stuff like that. But that's going to do it for this video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.